Well, 1,000 New South Wales paramedics will strike over a pay dispute today, despite Premier Gladys Berejiklian pleading with them to wait until the budget. The paramedics will refuse to respond to non-life-threatening calls for 24 hours, but serious call-outs won't be affected. The action is in opposition to a 1.5% pay increase offer from the government. But Ms Berejiklian says the state budget, to be handed down in 2 weeks, will deliver a package for workers. We'll get to that in a second, but joining us live now is Gerard, the Secretary of the Health Services Union in New South Wales. Gerard, how disruptive do you expect today's strikes to be?
Good morning, Pete. It will be disruptive, unfortunately. We don't want to put the people of New South Wales at risk, obviously, but we're in a position now that we're seeing highly trained professionals, worst paid in the country, lowest resourced in the country, highest injury rates in the country. But there is a real professional pay rate here, and we need to be able to deal with that with the Premier and the government. So
just to be clear, there is enough to handle those threatening calls, those life-threatening calls?
Absolutely. Look, any serious matter, any high acuity matter, anyone who's in a life-threatening situation or serious situation, we will not be putting them in harm's way.
And what would that be, Gerard?
With the ambulance service. So if you've got serious chest pain, if you're potentially having a heart attack, shortness of breath, those sorts of things, the low acuity cases, we apologise for this, but a broken arm or something along those lines probably won't be responded to by HSU members within the ambulance service.
Okay, so what are their options?
There are options. I suppose it's up to the ambulance service to try to reconfigure a response to that. But to be fair as well, this happens on a daily basis. People we've seen over the last many years, people could be waiting for an ambulance with a broken hip or a broken leg for up to 2 or 3 hours. And that goes to a point of obviously resourcing. But the real concern that we have now is that paramedics, highly trained, skilled professionals, university degrees, who are now $200 to $300 behind paramedics in Queensland and also Victoria. The other thing for the government is that they're spending a lot of money to train these paramedics, and then they leave and go to Queensland, Victoria, or prior to the borders being open, they're going over to the UK.
The Premier, as we just said, the Premier has asked you to wait because there is a package coming for workers in the budget. Why not wait?
Well, I think it's very decent of the Premier to say that, but we're not big on surprises. We like to be open, transparent, and scrutiny should be able to be applied. Saying trust me, and in 2 weeks' time, when the budget is printed, I don't think there's an opportunity to negotiate then. I think there's a real opportunity for us to be able to say, through these efficiencies, through a paramedic attending a scene early, giving a drug that will relieve a clot in your heart, the back-end saving to that is that patient won't go into an ICU, the government won't spend $100,000 in a week to look after that patient. So there's back-end savings already there, which we would like to ventilate with the government and hopefully get paramedics, parity at least with their colleagues in other states.
So are you expecting that 4.7% pay rise?
We would expect it. When you think about it, paramedics were given a 0.3% pay rise and then some calculation between that and $1,000, which I still can't work out. But that effectively means, in real terms, these people who got us through COVID, put their lives on the line, were worried about their families, turned up every single day. It's effectively, for the average paramedic, about 60 cups of coffee a year.
Yeah.
Now, if that's what the government's saying, that these life-saving heroes, professionals, which that's the terminology that gets used, here we're going to shout you a few cups of coffee for your effort, I think we've sort of lost the plot there, but we want to work with the government on this. We want to show those back-end savings that paramedics just don't put Band-Aids and bandages on. They give cardiac drugs, they change people's lives, and they take a huge amount of cost off the public health system.
Gerard Hayes, we're out of time. Appreciate your time. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Pete. All the best, mate.